About these wonderful classical plays. You have actually gotten to know some wonderfully fantastic, I'm sorry to use that word, but Deborah Kerr and Myrna Loy, to me, are Hollywood history. Can you tell us a little bit about those particular women?
Well, I don't know about, I can tell you about them, but I can tell you
Your
how I
relationship
met with them, yes.
yes.
And Myrna Loy, who is sort of before my time, as when she was a great star in the 30s and 40s, was a very big political activist, and I used to be in campaigns in New York as a kid, and during one particular volunteer effort, I was sitting there after school one day doing my geometry homework on the old graph paper, if you remember graph paper, and you would use, I don't know, these compasses or whatever, and somebody in the office was shouting telephone numbers to other people, because a lot of these celebrities would be helpful in the campaign, and I just started writing down their telephone numbers. And in my high school, some people were doing interviews with people from the local radio station, and I thought, wouldn't it be better, because my ego was high even then, wouldn't it be nice to get a movie star? So I called Myrna Loy's number, and a woman answered the phone, and I explained who I was, and Ms. Loy, who was calling, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, high school paper, and you know, I'm talking to the secretary and all of that, and suddenly the woman said, well, this is Miss Loy. Well, I almost died at that point. And to my shock and delight, she invited me to her East 63rd Street penthouse. It wasn't a huge penthouse, but it was a nice apartment. And I had a lovely hour with Myrna Loy. And I always remembered that night, since I didn't meet her one other time when I was at UCLA, and she was out here. And when I got a little bit of clout in the industry and had some credits and whatever, it bothered me that she had never been nominated for an Oscar. So I did various little things, and with the help of people like John Astin, Patty Duke, and later people like Roddy McDowell and Harold Russell from The Best Years of Our Lives, who I got to write letters to the Academy, she finally got an Academy Award in 1991, 2 years before she died. And then I did the same thing for Deborah Kerr, and who I'd met after writing her a letter once, a fan letter, and she invited me to meet her. And anyway, the fun thing about this business is some people get very, very aloof, and oh, well, that's you know, beneath me, or I'm in the industry, I'm not going to be a fan or whatever. Well, I don't go up to these people and ask for their autographs anymore. I did when I was 12 or 13, and I delight in memory of those experiences. But I'm not too ashamed to say that I am a fan, and you know, I treat them respectfully, and they know I'm in the business too. But I'm excited when I meet certain people. Indeed, I think I was telling you earlier that talk about a generational jump. I'm also a big fan of a younger actor, Leonardo DiCaprio, and I happened to be at the AFI Awards a couple of months ago in June, and I thought, well, there's Leonardo sitting at a table. I'd like to say hello, but you know, I don't want to just be brushed off. So I went up to him and I just said, Herr Leo. And he turned, and sprichst du Deutsch? I said. And he said, and then I said, du bist der beste junge Schauspieler der Welt, which I think sounds more Swedish than German. But anyway, it means you're the best young actor in the world. And he was just beaming, and we started chatting in German. I guess nobody's done that to him before. And before I knew what happened, he said, God, you switched to English, which I'm better at, although you'd never know from this interview. You really should talk to my grandmother. I said, is she here? Because his grandmother's from Germany, and his mother is too. So he sent me over to his grandmother, and I had a lovely time talking to his grandmother and mother, who it turned out had grown up in the Bronx and went to CCNY, City College of New York, which I did. So it's interesting, and I delighted in telling that story as much as the Deborah Kerr, Myrna Loy thing, because we are in the industry, we are equal. We don't have to come up to these people and say, would you read my script? That would be disrespectful, especially at a time like that. But on the other hand, it's rather boring if you can't be a little excited, because otherwise we could just be, and I don't mean to demean other professions, but we could be, well, I won't demean them. Pick your profession that sounds dull, and you could still make a lot of money. You could be a millionaire or a billionaire, but it wouldn't be as interesting. And I think there's a reason why we got into this profession. Ego is part of it, but also because it is a fun and intriguing, as heartbreaking and as unpleasant as it can be, it can also be terribly, terribly exciting.
You know, we only have a few more minutes, my wonderful guest, Michael Russnow, but I wanted to ask you, since you were on that subject about it, this business could be this and that, do you have any advice to give to young folks out there, even older folks.
Why should I? My God,
Well, come on,
secret. Oh, all
give us a
right.
break.
Well, as I've been mentioning, I often tell people that writing, if it's writing that you're talking about, is the easiest thing to break in the business, or one of the easiest things. And then people say, oh, please. Well, I don't mean that it's easy to maintain, because it's sometimes even more difficult to maintain, especially with the various ageisms. And although I do think of all the isms that it's not so much ageism or sexism or racism, but perceptionism, I think, is the worst ism. What have you done lately, that sort of thing. But what I would say is write something. Because the reason I say it's the easiest thing is because it's easier to get somebody to read a script than it is for them to cast you in a movie or a play, or to let you spend their money and direct something or whatever, or even to watch that thing that you've done as a director. You write something, and if you can get somebody, if you hustle yourself to read your script, write something that interests you. If it's television that you like, look at an episode of a series that is well received, critically successful, and early in its run, because you don't want to write something. I would never write, let's say, Will and Grace now, because everybody's been reading Will and Grace. Right. But find this season, for example, what is the new hot show, be it sitcom or drama, write one or two that you like, and then get that out there. That show will never probably be done, but it will get you to a show that says, gee, I love your writing, come in and maybe you'll get a chance.
Fabulous, Michael. I have a script here, weighs about 50 pounds. I was thinking you would be a good producer for my script.
Yes, of course. I would be happy to produce your script.
Thank you very much, my wonderful guest, Mr. Michael Russnow. And, I also wanted to ask you, what if I gave you $50 million? What kind of movie would you make me?
A $50 million movie.
Really? You'd spend every penny?
Well, maybe not everything. I'd give myself a salary, but no, I'd probably try to get some good people attached to it, and
would it be a love story?
It would probably be a comedy.
That is your forte, comedy.
I hope so.
Well, it's been comical having you on this show, because I've learned a lot.